RailBlazer is the Rocky Mountain Construction Raptor, California's Great America. I think it's the best coaster at this park, and further, I think it's the best ride in Northern California. I know coaster enthusiasts typically aren't a fan of clones, but this one should be an exception. This is one heck of an intense ride. Find out why in this review. R.M.C. revealed their Raptor track back at the 2015 IAAPA trade show. This will be a single rail coaster. The lone thick spine was intended to eliminate cross ties and supports to help save costs. This coaster was originally intended for smaller parks, but the two first buyers were major corporate parks. The first to open was Wonder Woman Golden Lasso coaster at Six Flags Fiesta Texas in 2018. Just a few weeks later, California's Great America opened RailBlazer, which is a mirror image of Wonder Woman. I previously made a review of Wonder Woman if you want to hear more about that ride specifically, but this review will also touch on some of the differences between the two rides. RailBlazer was a bit of a surprise addition for Great America. The park had previously submitted bold expansion plans with a half dozen attractions, including a hypercoaster and a launch coaster. There was no mention of a single rail. Some said RailBlazer was a replacement for the Hyper, but the timing doesn't quite match up. Cedar Fair was rumored to have had a contract with B&M for a hypercoaster for California's Great America named Megabyte. The park had submitted multiple plans to the town in 2017, but when costs rose, the plans were supposedly pulled from Great America around 2018, and the ride was instead given to Kings Island and made into Orion. It's clear Great America once had big expansion plans with multiple coasters, and RailBlazer was just supposed to be one of those additions. Instead, it will likely be the park's last ever major coaster. Earlier this year, California's Great America announced they sold the land under the park to a real estate developer for $310 million. The park will close by 2033 as a result, and that's at the latest. It'll likely close earlier than that. When the closure occurs, multiple rides will be relocated, and RailBlazer seems like a prime candidate. It's just 4 years old, and it would fit in perfectly at any of the smaller Cedar Fair parks. I don't think it would be a good fit at the larger parks due to its poor capacity, but it would be an incredible addition at a park like Valley Fair, Michigan's Adventure, Worlds of Fun, or Dorney Park. I have heard some rumors the welded track could make it harder to take apart and relocate, but I'm sure R.M.C. and Cedar Fair could find a way to save this well-received and relatively new ride. Especially because this ride takes up such a small footprint. It is meant to be cloned after all. It's really unbelievable how compact this ride is, yet it still looks cool. The orange track looks great, and I mean this as a compliment, the ride doesn't even look real. It looks like something out of a dream between the unique track style and how unnaturally fast the trains fly through the layout. It seems like the coaster moves through the layout on 1.5 times speed, but the cars are really moving that fast. This ride also is lightly themed to off-roading, so the ride's appearance was plussed in two ways. First, rock work was added along the ride's lowest points. It really looks nice off-ride, but you're moving so fast on-ride that it's really difficult to comprehend what exactly you're passing. Second, the lead car is designed to look like an ATV. And a nice perk of riding in row 1 is that you have two handlebars in front of you, and you can lean forwards and grab them, which transforms the attraction to a pseudo motorbike coaster, and you will not get airtime like this on any other moto coaster. I far prefer RailBlazer in the back though. I think you get the most intense ride experience there, primarily because of the two drops that try to launch you into the ionosphere. Seating is assigned, but the grouper does accommodate row requests if you ask nicely. I mentioned it earlier, but RailBlazer has putrid capacity. This coaster does run 2 trains, but each seats just 8 riders. That is an absolute nightmare for a signature ride at a park of this size. The Raptors at the Six Flags parks at least have a continuous load platform to keep dispatches steady, but RailBlazer did not get one of these. This makes it harder for the ride to hit its already low theoretical capacity. The staff does check the restraints quickly, and they can avoid stacking if the guests cooperate. The gating item is usually how long it takes people to store their loose articles on the ride platform and then get seated. All of this leads to RailBlazer often having the longest line in the park. This ride often has an hour wait, but there are 3 ways to beat the crowds. First, you can head here immediately after opening. Most people flock to Gold Striker first because it's the nearest coaster to the entrance, so you can usually get a marathon RailBlazer for the first hour with little to no wait. Second, you can purchase the fast lane Skip the Line Pass. This brings you right up to the station, and you almost always board the next train. Third, RailBlazer has an unofficial single rider line. If you go up the fast lane queue and notify the grouper you're alone, they can usually use you to fill an empty seat. And since the grouper usually fills the train front to back, you often will get the back row as a bonus. It's not guaranteed this will be in use, but it doesn't hurt to ask because it could be a major time saver. One issue I've had in my visits to this park is that RailBlazer can suffer from downtime. In my first 2 visits after the ride opened, it had lengthy breakdowns towards the end of the day, closing it for the rest of the night. In my 3rd visit, I actually got stuck in the ride for 20 minutes in the station when my restraint wouldn't unlock. Maybe this ride just hates me, but I've had issues with downtime with the other Raptors as well. Riders sit single file. That aspect is cool, but I find the seating position a bit awkward. You sit straddling the track. There's a raised hump in the middle, so you need to place your feet on the outside. Then to get the restraint to close, you need to point your knees inwards. It's fine for a single ride, but it does start to hurt your hips if you hypothetically get stuck on a ride for 20 minutes. Raptor restraints get a lot of flack. They're not amazing, but I don't hate them. You have a ratcheting over the shoulder harness with a hard bar across your waist and straps over your shoulders. As long as you aren't stapled, the bar is not an issue. You will hit the straps though during the ride from the strong negative G's, but I don't think they cause discomfort, at least for me. That being said, I get why the straps are there. Because of how open the trains are, that is your only form of lateral bracing. It is a trade-off. Now the ride experience I'm about to describe is nearly identical to Wonder Woman. Once dispatched, you move forwards and ascend the 106-foot or 32-meter tall lift hill. Instead of looking at the quarry like you do on Wonder Woman, you instead get a view of the mountains in the distance and the rest of the park in the foreground. At the top, you dip down and up, ultimately turning 180 degrees. This maneuver has 2 advantages. First, you get a small dose of laterals. Second, you have some speed going into the first drop. This causes those up front to sort of get thrown upwards as you crest the element. Then those in back get powerful and sustained ejector airtime. It is one of the best drops out there, and I just love how forcefully it throws you skywards. The pullout rockets through a rock tunnel, while also subjecting riders to some positives. Then you rise upwards into the dive loop, which is profiled much differently than the others out there. Most dive loops begin the twist in the ascent, which takes away the airtime. RailBlazer doesn't start the twist until you reach the apex, so everyone gets great ejector as you level off. It's particularly potent up front. You then rapidly flip and dive back down to the ground. The snap is very abrupt, giving incredible laterals. While the airtime is a bit stronger up front, I think it's more satisfying in the back because it occurs simultaneously with those laterals. The pullout delivers a strong blast of positive Gs. Then you zoom through an S-hill. This maneuver is cartoonish. You get wicked laterals paired with thigh-crushing ejector airtime, and you get a great head chopper too with the lift because of how forcefully you lift out of your seat. This all occurs without losing any speed. The element is a beautiful blur of power. You then charge through the far turnaround. The twist upwards pulls some serious Gs, and I always gray out here, which is a rarity for most R.M.Cs. After a quick S-bend in the air, you sharply plunge back down to the ground. This drop is fantastic. It packs a serious punch in the back, delivering an intense surge of ejector airtime. Even those up front get a pop as well because you have so much speed cresting the drop. And there's a great head chopper with a support as well. Next is a cutback over the station. This inversion is probably the mildest element on the ride, but it's still solid as you are pulled through it. And it leads into a better inversion, a 0G roll. While much of RailBlazer is about breakneck speed and snappy maneuvers, this element rides more gracefully, instead giving nice hang time. It's a fun contrast from the rest of the experience. The forces do return the final turn. You get some nice positives while zipping around the rockwork. The one downside with this maneuver is it has some noticeable bumps coming out of it. In general, RailBlazer is a pretty darn smooth ride, which is why this quick burst of jackhammering is so noticeable. I don't recall getting that in Wonder Woman. You then shoot into the final brakes. You get a quick pop of airtime rising up, and then the sudden deceleration throws you forwards. This ends the 1,800 foot or 550 meter long coaster. I already touched on the smoothness, but what about the pacing? That is one of the biggest strengths with this coaster. Every single element hits, and there is no downtime in between. You haul through the layout. The ride's max speed is 52 miles per hour or 89 kilometers per hour, but it feels way faster. Maybe it's the riding position, maybe it's the profiling, or maybe it's a mix of both, but it feels like you're riding something in Planet Coaster with low friction on. I could not believe this, and I think it's a lie, but Grizzly is supposedly 3 miles per hour faster, and if you've been on that coaster, you know it doesn't feel anywhere close to RailBlazer's speed. So what would I rate RailBlazer? I would give this R.M.C. Raptor a 9.5 out of 10. It is a dynamic and powerful ride. RailBlazer is a speedy blend of powerful airtime, laterals, and whip. The first half has some of the most intense airtime you can get on any ride, especially because it's sometimes paired with laterals too. The only two nitpicks with this coaster are its short duration and the less than perfect restraints, but it still is an elite ride for me. And yes, it is a clone, but it's an incredible thrill ride and better than a lot of custom RMCs. I think Wonder Woman and RailBlazer are basically equal. Wonder Woman is a little smoother for me, but RailBlazer has that rock work and those handlebars in row 1. I know the layout was tweaked for Silverwood Stunt Pilot, but I haven't been on that coaster to compare. I hope to try it someday in the future though. I'm not sure how much time RailBlazer and California's Great America have together, but this is the ride you want to marathon at this park. It is the best coaster in Northern California, and I really hope it's saved. So those are my thoughts on RailBlazer, one of the original R.M.C. Raptors. What are your thoughts on the single rail coaster? Do you love this ride's intensity and forces? Let me know down in the comments. If you enjoyed this review, I'd appreciate it if you gave this video a like, and you considered subscribing, because there'll be a lot more roller coaster and amusement park videos here at Canopy Coaster. Thanks for watching.